Welcome back to The Remote Life. My name is Han Talbot, also known as Han Meets World, and today we'll be chatting with Orest Zub. Originally from Ukraine, Orest is a travel blogger and entrepreneur looking to raise awareness of the current situation in his home country. In this episode, we talk about his current work around the war, what we can do as individuals to help Ukrainians, and what this could mean for the future of the country. So grab a coffee, a tea, or something stronger, and let's get started. Amazing. So we are live. Orest, welcome to The Remote Life. How are you?
Nice to see you here, and thanks for having me. So, feeling ready for the nice conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. We're sat on the beautiful rooftop at Co-working Bansko. It's a nice day, surrounded by beautiful mountains. Like, what's there to complain about? It's amazing. So, let's dive straight in. Connect the dots for us. What brings you here? How did you get into the remote life? Tell us about you.
My name is Orest. I am originally from Ukraine, and my native city is Lviv in the west of Ukraine. Now, all those places became pretty famous in the recent month. So I'm actually a digital nomad since the last decade. Visited already over than 120 countries around the world. And, was experiencing a beautiful digital nomad life, which is one of the best one people can only imagine.
Amen.
Yeah, but when the war in Ukraine, the full-scale war in Ukraine started, because the actual war is happening all the way from 2014, when Russia annexed Crimea and opened the war in Donbass. So when this full-scale invasion happened, I just decided to participate in all possible types of resistance and to do what I do the best, meaning doing representation, engaging all my international network, and relying on the media skills to deliver the message of Ukraine out there to the world. So basically here in Bansko is just one example of what I'm doing during the war, which is visiting events all around Europe, which is engaging local organizations and maybe political units to continue supporting Ukraine.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, we met briefly in Workplace Culture Conference where you were also doing the same. Do you want to tell people a little bit more about what you've been chatting to people about at conferences and just give us a little insight?
So my main profession before, like for the last 10 years, was being a blogger and many different online business ventures around online media. So when the war in Ukraine started, our focus of our team completely shifted to deliver the war message topic. First of all, it required to start English language channels and media platforms that I didn't have before. I was working only on the Ukrainian audience and local market. However, fortunately, I'm fluent in English, so I'm able to do this. And number one tool is simply like, doing videos, visiting conflict areas, visiting deoccupied areas, spreading in the video, photo, and text materials globally in English what is actually happening in Ukraine from the local perspective. Secondly is talking on the conferences. And third is establishing cooperation with local organizations. So here, my participation looks in the following way. I had the talk, on the stage, where I told how the life of a digital nomad changed in Ukraine when the war started. So obviously we have this main topic, war in Ukraine, but there are many different ways you can present it. Politicians present it in one way, and since I'm part of the nomad community and nomad event, I presented the way so nomads can relate to it and to understand it. So I explained that, for example, such things as freedom of movement is kind of limited now, which is a true value for digital nomads, and that's why they can really appreciate and understand it. I explained that there are situations when you can have to pack actually all your life in one backpack, what digital nomads actually also do, but for a different reason than in Ukraine. And those are the points how you can touch the heart of people or different communities and make them really think about Ukraine more. And obviously, I was providing some action steps, what to do if they want to help to participate in Ukraine. And for nomads, there are good ways to do it. First of all, everybody is working remotely, or at least most of them are. So it's possible to hire Ukrainian remote workers, which is a good and easy step, which doesn't require any sacrifices from nomads. Secondly, you can choose some kind of organization that relates to your interests. For example, children charity, pet charity, logistics, and other thing. And you can more deeply participate there with your own skills, your own proficiency, or donate money, because war, first of all, is the combat of economies. So the more money are involved, the more chances are there to win. And
Can I just ask a quick question on that one? Which places would you say the money is best placed like that?
Number one priority is military, because if Ukraine will lose military in this war, and war is always military, first of all, the question is which country become a victim of Russian Federation next. So it's in the interest of everybody to keep the active combat on the field in Ukraine. Let us do the dirty job on the field. And that's why a lot of money are required to buy drones, tanks, all these like things that unfortunately kill people. But this is necessary because, as now we understand, Russia is the entity that the only language they understand is the brutal power. At least this is what we see from the actions and from the recent history. So yeah, that's the unfortunate truth. At the same time, I understand that many people, and nomads including, would like to support some initiatives that doesn't involve lethal consequences, which is okay. I understand this. And that's why there are a bunch of different options that I just mentioned. So in terms of monetary donations, first is military support. If you don't like to do so, there are a bunch of other things in regard to your preferences. So for example, here in Bansko, which became a kind of big hub for Ukrainian refugees because it has all this amazing tourist infrastructure, and this is the shoulder season, so it's not busy. Over 1,000 Ukrainians found a shelter over here, and within a couple of days, I visited a local kids organization that they, help kids to play, to spend some time, because most of the refugees are women with kids. So let's say there is like a single mother who has 2 children and she simply cannot handle all of this. So that's why this like refugee kindergarten, if you can tell so, they take care of kids. Yes, and they need money. So I donated them a little bit. And also on the event here, I was talking about my other initiatives that I do on the recent conference in Croatia, a Nomad Base. We collected over $8,000 in total, which made me possible to buy a van for the orphanage in Ukraine, to move children up and down. And I continue supporting that orphanage. But on this event, since I raised a couple of $100 within my short speech, half of this money I donated already to the local kids charity here in Bansko. So that's how things actually work.
Amazing. That's incredible. It's just mind-blowing the work that you're doing. So kudos to you as well.
It's actually not so easy. I'm entrepreneur. I'm digital nomad. I was always doing this kind of online ventures. And at certain point, doing the business as I was doing this before simply didn't make any sense to me anymore. From one point, for me, it's much easier just to earn money than to do the raising, because it requires different psychology. And I, as an entrepreneur, I'm not used to ask or raise stuff. But in these circumstances, we understand that the scale is much bigger than your own capacities. And since people are willing to contribute and to participate in this global movement, I'm fine with doing that, because I understand that I have the options to do so. So I can talk. I am fine with public speaking. I do have some presentation skills, which... I have to use everything I can and everything I can do in order to participate in this matter. And in addition to that, I would like to tell that every Ukrainian and me personally, we are super grateful for this tremendous support that Ukraine is actually enjoying at the moment, not only monetary, but also all types of the humanitarian aid, all type of media support. This is actually the unique situation in the human history when it's so clear where you draw a line between good and bad. That's why actually every Western country unanimously support Ukraine. And that just shows that we are moving in the right direction.
I think it's so true, though, especially so I have a background in the travel industry in London. And I think the travel industry in general, and especially digital nomads, are much more interested in how they can also give back and how they can actually contribute to where they're going, whether they've been there, whether they're going, whether they are there now. What is kind of one thing you would love digital nomads or the travel industry in general to know about what's going on? And one thing that, obviously you've mentioned some ways that people can obviously get involved if they want to. what is kind of like something you would say like, right, this is 100% a way that you can do?
So first of all, travel industry doesn't exist now in Ukraine since the country is at war. All the airlines have been stopped flying to Ukraine. It's a no-fly zone from civil aviation standpoint. And I completely relate. Like no insurance company will work there and so on. However, you also have to understand that it's not like it's an entire war zone. Ukraine is the largest European country. It's like 3 times the size of United Kingdom, for example. And if there is active combat near the front line, it does mean that the entire country is in fire. Actually, most of the country is not. I live in the west of Ukraine, in Lviv, which is around 1,000 kilometers away from the front line, which is more or less the same distance as from my city to München or Frankfurt in Germany, which is more than halfway to United Kingdom. Meaning that there is more risk to get into the traffic accident than to be a victim of the war. Yes, and during the entire 4 months of the war, there are only 6 casualties caused by the war directly, which is not much for a 1 million population city, of course. That's why I would encourage travel companies to start looking at Ukraine as the travel destination for adventure tours. You can fly to Poland. You buy tickets online for the regular trains across the border to Lviv, and then you can travel around, let's say, western half of Ukraine, exploring the history, looking some landmarks, seeing Kyiv, and also maybe seeing the occupied areas that really suffered of the Russian occupation. I'm talking about Bucha, Irpin. So this is the place where you really can see a fresh ruins and the devastation result of the war. I don't want to turn this into the promotion of a war tourism on itself, but rather on discovery tourism, because once you visit those areas personally and you realize how bad is war, first of all, it makes you understand things much better. Also, by visiting Ukraine, you go deeper into the cultural aspect, so you appreciate you start understanding the local people much more. I would like to stress out that Ukraine recently became the official member, a candidate to join the European Union. Just a couple of days ago, it was already announced by European Council.
Amazing.
So the way is only westward for Ukraine, and these companies that will unbox at first will definitely benefit in the long term. Also, once more and more foreigners start arriving to the country, this makes a bigger signal to other people around the world. Yes, and the process will continue. So, 2 days ago, Richard Branson visited Ukraine. A few weeks earlier, Angelina Jolie visited Ukraine. Obviously, all the top politicians, they make a pilgrimage to Ukraine because it became fashionable in the geopolitics of the world. Ukraine is definitely now the number one topic globally for the last 4 months. And just stick to it, because it feels like the future of our world now is being resolved in Ukraine.
Interesting. Very interesting perspective. Do you think being a digital nomad has been able to give you the more of the freedoms to be able to raise awareness around what's been going on? Do you think that's kind of given you...
Of course. Since I was a digital nomad for many years, I met so many people, we maintained relations, and this was like the kickstart for this, right? Because from the very first day of the invasion, dozens of nomads were writing to me like, Orest, like, I really feel sorry about this. Just for you to know, you have a place to stay in case you need whatever support you need. Just let us know. So this helped me to start my messaging, and from that it grew and grew. And now I'm relying on these networks to continue working on the topic of Ukraine. So absolutely yes. Also the proficiency in English language, because of communication before I'm able to continue this. And before the invasion, Ukraine was kind of becoming a hub for digital nomads as well. Many people were moving there. So many people relate to Ukraine as well, and this definitely helps.
What are the top 3 things that people should know about Ukraine, or like the best 3 things to know as a visitor?
So first of all, Ukraine now is every Ukrainian now deeply has in their heart the true values of freedom and democracy that many people in the West take for granted and kind of appreciate it. So if you want to refresh those feelings, Ukraine is like the number one destination to feel the atmosphere of true freedom. This is number one. Second, it is very, very IT and tech savvy country. For example, we have a Ministry of Digital Transformation, which does so much to digitalize the entire country. Banking system is so much more advanced than in European Union. You can move money much faster, and you don't need all these complicated things that you guys have to wait for 2 days or so on.
Right.
Internet is among the fastest in the world. So those are the three, and then we can start from there.
What about in terms of like one dish or one drink that we've got to try when we get there?
Okay, so one dish that really stands out from Ukraine is borscht, is the red beetroot soup.
Okay.
Nothing like this exists anywhere else, and just borscht. It's kind of complicated to spell because you've got this CHSH and so on. Yeah, borscht. Yes, but that's it's nice, heavy, meaty soup.
Okay.
Another thing what's really good is vareniki. It's potato dumplings also. And obviously the entire world knows the meatball, which calls chicken Kyiv.
Yep.
That's the one. So, yeah.
I feel like we should maybe challenge people to like make one of these dishes, tag you, and then like do something that's going to like help the situation as well. So,
I would appreciate this, of course.
Like, we'll have to figure something out afterwards. So what do you think is going to happen next with Ukraine? Obviously, you can't tell everything, but...
First of all, we have to realize that now there is an active war happening in Ukraine. And if the first month that everybody was like watching the events, that when Kyiv was besieged and when the areas got deoccupied, we've seen the results of the occupation. It was more about the urban warfare. Now, once the entire focus shifted to the east, where we have the open plains, it does feel like it's pictures from World War II with the tanks, artillery, trenches, mud. It's all like, going. Over 150 Ukrainian soldiers die every day. So the numbers are really huge. And the first what we have to do is to stop the war, of course, as soon as possible. And the entire world is working on that. However, it does feel that so many people became attached to Ukraine that as soon as the war will be finished, it will become like a new El Dorado, because with so many investments flock into, with so many people trying to visit it, participate in the reconstruction. I've seen already some manifestos of architects, that they want to rebuild the new city completely from scratch. Yes, and all the organizations that they're flocking in. So that definitely will be the golden time for Ukraine. I don't know when it will start. It looks like the war will take quite some time. I'm talking months or maybe even years. It's very hard to predict things. And that's why we really rely on the international aid. In order not only to let the combat go west more, but to push it back, to restore the integrity of Ukraine, to restore peace, and to make the world a better place.
Amazing. Is there anything else you want anybody to know about the situation, about what you're doing?
Yeah, I started this mission with the direct intent to spread the message and to help Ukraine. So please follow me on all the possible platforms. Orest Zub. I hope you'll provide the links down below.
Of course, that'll be everything.
And that will be a good start. Also, if you want to do something or you want to, figure some things more precisely, don't simply add or follow me. Don't be shy. Write me a message. I am answering everybody, and we'll try to direct you in the good direction or simply extend our conversation.
Amazing. And one last thing from me. Fill in the blank. Home is where?
Oh, it's absolutely in Lviv, Ukraine. Yeah.
Amazing. Orest, it's been amazing to chat to you. And yeah, we'll obviously put everything down below that everyone can go find.
Thank you very much. Looking forward to seeing Ukraine, guys.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of The Remote Life. And thank you, Orest, for taking the time to speak with us. You can find links to Orest's work and socials below. Thank you so much again for listening, and we can't wait to remote work with you again soon.